Alright, so now that we have the template of our application built, we are going to start working with Angular. And the first concept that you need to understand with Angular is the concept of directives. And what a directive is it's a way to teach Angular or HTML new tricks. And for me, the best way to see what a directive is to kind of work with it. So the first directive that you're going to work with is ng-app. And what the ng-app directive does is it tells Angular that this is an Angular application. So ng-app, we're going to set that equal to our app name, and we're going to say to do app. Now we're going to come over to our app JavaScript file, and we are going to say variable to do app equals Angular dot module. And this module function takes two arguments. It takes a string that's a name of the app, and that is defined over here in your index page. And so we're going to copy paste that, and it takes a blank array for the next argument. And this blank array is an array of dependencies that you might use in your application. So we're not going to worry about that right now. Just leave that blank. And now that we have Angular referencing this app, now we need to work with a controller. So what the controller does is a controller allows Angular to receive and set values in the view from the controller. And the controller is in between, like say a database or some sort of API call. So I like thinking of it as like a getter and a setter for your view. So we're going to set our controller inside of the body, and that directive is ng controller. Oh, can't spell controller. And we're going to set that to todo's controller. And back in our JavaScript file, we are going to take the name of our application, and we're going to call controller function. And this function takes two arguments. The first argument is a string, and it's the name of the controller that we've just set in our HTML. So it's going to take the name of this todo's controller. Copy paste. And the next argument is going to be an anonymous function. Perfect. Now, when I set up my Angular apps, I like to do little tests to make sure things are working properly. So we're going to go over one more key concept that we have to understand before we pass data from the controller to the view, and that's the concept of scope. So what scope is an object that has properties that we can set and that the view can set, and the scope object is the view has access to and can see it. So we're going to set a property to the scope object of test, and we're going to set it to a string that it says this app is connected to the controller. Hooray. Alright. So now when we come to our index, inside of our controller, if we would come in here and we'll go inside the row, and we're going to say h1 class text center, so it shows up in the center, and we're going to have access to the scope object, we use these braces, and we don't even have to say scope because of the brackets. It knows it's scope, and we're just going to say test, and that is going to pull a test property from the scope object in test property, so it'll show that. So now when you come here, it says this app is connected to the controller. So now we know the controller is connected to the view, and the view can see the controller. So in the next video, we're going to start working on the controller side and building the data for our to-do app.